abandoned in snow with her baby. She's saved by a millionaire who reveals an amazing secret. The wind howled fiercely outside the broken-down car, whipping snow flurries against the windows like a furious dog scratching to get in. Sarah hugged her baby daughter, Lily, close to her chest, praying her tiny body wouldn't succumb to the biting cold. Ignoring the panic fluttering in her stomach, she recalled her grandfather's voice. Hard work will light your way, Sarah. Never lose sight of the dream. But dreams seemed far away now, buried beneath the thick layers of snow accumulating around them. The car's engine had surrendered, and hope felt as distant as the glittering city lights she once imagined. Outside, the blizzard raged on, a relentless beast intent on sealing their fate. Time slipped through her fingers like grains of sand, each minute deepening an ache of despair. Would she ever find the strength to defeat this storm? Then, through the swirling white chaos, an impressive SUV pulled up beside her, a stark, luxurious silhouette against the drab scenery. Sarah's heart raced as a figure stepped out, shaking off flakes like they were nothing, despite the harsh weather. He was Jack, a handsome man whose presence radiated power, though there was an unmistakable air of melancholy about him. "Need a hand?" he called, his voice cutting through the wind. Sarah hesitated, uncertain. Did she really want to be rescued by a man who likely lived a world apart from her struggles? Yet, the urgency of her situation pushed her to nod. Within moments, he helped her and Lily into the warmth of the inn, where the fireplace crackled cheerfully, surrounding them with flickering shadows. Jack watched them closely, and Sarah's initial skepticism about his wealth began to crack. She noticed how the inn was more than just a building. It housed memories of laughter, community gatherings, and love. Yet she also sensed Jack's own battles, perhaps against the stigma of his affluence. They shared stories over steaming mugs, wrapping their emotional wounds in words like warm blankets. Yet, amid their exchange, unsettling revelations danced at the edges. Just when Sarah thought she could see the real Jack through his polished facade, an astonishing connection between their families unraveled. Old letters from their grandparents revealing ties that sent shockwaves through her dreams. Wait, what? Her heartbeat quickened. You're related to? The implications crowded her mind. Could this man be her unlikely ally in this fight for a better life? Nervous laughter bubbled up like soda, tinged with incredulity. She realized, in that moment, that their shared legacy could either bind them or build walls between them. The snowstorm outside softened, and with it came a fresh glimmer of hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night wore on, Sarah grappled with her self-reliance. This connection with Jack might hold the key to overcoming her mountains of doubt and despair. But what awaited her? Would she cling more tightly to her solitary dreams, or would she dare to weave their paths together, steering their community towards something greater? The flames flickered, igniting the room with more than just heat. They sparked a promise of transformation. What would she choose as the night unfolded, and how would the ghosts of their past shape the future? As the fire crackled softly, casting flickering shadows around the inn, Sarah felt a flicker of something unexpected. It was the possibility of trust. She studied Jack as he turned to her, his brow furrowed in thought. "This connection, our families," he began, hesitant yet resolute. "I never imagined I'd find someone who shares my past. It feels surreal." Sarah nodded, her heart thrumming in her chest. "It's more than just surprising. It's like the universe suddenly rearranged itself in a way I can hardly comprehend. I mean, what does this mean for us?" Jack's gaze deepened. "It could mean that you're not alone anymore." His words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken promises and possibilities. The warmth of the inn wrapped around them, yet the storm outside still raged, a grim reminder of Sarah's precarious reality. She had been fighting for so long against the loneliness, against the hardships of motherhood, and against a world that had too often turned its back. Now, standing on the cusp of a new relationship, she faced an emotional crossroads. Accept help or cling to her stubborn independence. As she shifted Lily in her arms, she could feel her daughter's soft warmth against her chest. That reality was her anchor, and the thought of her giving up struck her hard. But could letting Jack be a way forward, not just for her, but for Lily too? Could he be the companion she didn't know she needed? "You've shown me such kindness," she finally said, her voice steady but filled with a vulnerability she rarely exposed. "But I don't want to be just another project, Jack. I want to build my own future for Lily." Jack's eyes softened. "I don't want to rescue you this isn't a fairy tale. I want us to work together. You're so strong, Sarah. It's part of why I admire you." His words made her heart skip a beat. Could his admiration be genuine, or was he just drawn to the idea of saving someone? She searched his face and caught glimpses of sincerity. There was something about Jack that touched her, a shared responsibility for the legacies they unknowingly inherited from their families. "What if we decide to join forces?" Jack suggested, hesitating slightly. "Your dreams could blend with mine. Together, we could make our community thrive." The thought rolled around in Sarah's mind like a whisper of hope. Could they really build a future that acknowledged their past? The almost tangible connection between them suggested that this was not just a chance encounter, this was fate knocking softly at her door. As the night continued, they spoke about the old letters, their grandparents' dreams, and what the future could hold if they ventured into it together. Jack told her about his childhood, the wealth he grew up with, and how it often felt isolating. Every story he told added more depth to his character, slowly melting the ice Sarah had built around her heart. With every shared dream and past revelation, Sarah felt a growing warmth inside. Yet, just as the conversation began to flow effortlessly, Jack paused, his expression turning serious. "There's something I've kept from you," he said, his voice low. "What do you mean?" Jack hesitated, an anxious flurry crossing his face. "When I came out here today, I wasn't just driving. I came looking for more than just company." The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken truths and secrets yet to unfold. The change in his tone sent chills down Sarah's spine. "What are you saying?" Jack drew in a breath, the firelight highlighting the tension in his features. "I was searching for you, Sarah. I figured you'd be in trouble, but I never anticipated." Before he could finish, the lights in the inn flickered, and the wind howled louder. Outside, the storm began to stir again, echoing the emotional maelstrom swirling within her. What was Jack truly after? Perhaps it went beyond mere family ties. Perhaps it was the culmination of their intertwined pasts, holding a weight that could shape both their futures. As uncertainty filled the air, Sarah wondered, were they ready to face whatever truth lay ahead? Could they build something real, or would the truth tear them apart even before they could begin? The storm outside intensified as the wind howled against the walls of the inn, rattling the windows in a precarious dance. Inside, Sarah's heart raced. Jack's last words hung in the air like an unfinished song, echoing a promise wrapped in urgency. She felt the weight of his gaze, the seriousness in his posture. What did he mean by searching for her? Did he know more than he was letting on? "Jack, what were you expecting to find?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper over the crackling fire. She felt the warmth of the flames contrast sharply with the chill gripping her heart. Each word was carefully chosen, as if she were walking on the edge of a razor. "There are things about my family," he began, his voice low, almost pained. "Things I uncovered. Our families, they weren't just connected by chance. There's more at stake than you know. I had to find you." Before he trailed off, the shadow of a deeper truth lurking behind his eyes. Sarah's breath caught. Before what? Before what happened? This was a thread she wasn't sure she wanted to pull, but she felt compelled to. Jack's vulnerability was unexpected, yet disarming. "Before everything I thought I knew crumbled beneath me," he replied, gripping the armrest of the old chair with a tension that mirrored her own. "I believe there's a reason our paths crossed, something tied to the past that could change everything for us. For you and Lily." The fire popped softly, but Sarah's pulse quickened. Did he understand what he was saying? Her trust was fragile, and every layer of Jack's story seemed to peel back another layer of her own defenses. "What do you mean, change everything?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Jack took a deep breath. "I found out my family left something for yours. A piece of my grandfather's legacy, something that could help you build that future you want for your daughter." The words struck her like a thunderbolt. She felt a mixture of hope and dread. Hope for an opportunity to improve their lives, and dread at what strings might be attached. What kind of legacy? They invested in the community and the property you mentioned, the one you're struggling to hold on to. It's connected to our grandparents. Sarah's heart raced as she processed what he was saying. This could not only mean financial help, but community support. The future she envisioned for Lily suddenly seemed closer, more tangible. But why? Why would you care? You could have anything you want. Jack's eyes locked onto hers with a fierce intensity. Because you matter to me, Sarah. You and Lily. I don't see you as a burden or a project. I see you as family. I want to help. Her chest tightened at his words, a mix of gratitude and fear battling within her. Could she really accept this kind of help? Could it ever be free of obligations? Just then, the inn was plunged into darkness as the storm outside snatched away the last flicker of light. For a moment, they were enveloped in shadows, just two strangers caught in a night that threatened to engulf them. Are you okay? Jack's voice broke the stillness, a steady hand reaching out to her in the dark. We can wait until the power comes back. We don't have to talk about this right now. No, Sarah replied, her voice firm, cutting through the uncertainty. No, this needs to be resolved. Just tell me the truth. And in that moment of darkness, as the wind screamed outside and the storm raged on, Sarah felt clarity emerge from the chaos. It was time to confront the truth, whatever it might be. Okay, Jack said slowly, the shadows deepening around them. Then let us begin with how we can navigate this together, without fear. But just as hope began to bloom, a knock at the door shattered the fragile peace. Someone was out there, waiting on the other side of the storm. Who else might be drawn into their tangled story? And what secrets lay outside, waiting to be uncovered? The knock reverberated through the inn like a drum roll, sharp and insistent. Sarah's heart leaped into her throat. Who could be out there in this storm? Jack's hand fell from its perch on the armrest, tension radiating from him as he rose to his feet. Stay here, he urged quietly, his voice barely cutting through the howling winds outside. He stepped toward the door, each stride filled with caution. What if it's someone looking for trouble? Sarah called, anxiety creeping into her voice. Jack paused, glancing back at her. I'll be careful. But before he reached the door, another knock sounded, more desperate this time. Jack hesitated, his brow furrowing. Everything felt wrong. The storm outside wasn't the only thing brewing. A sense of dread coiled around her. Sarah clenched her fists, her breath quickening. Was it the storm that made her feel trapped, or the secrets clinging to the room, set to explode? Jack swung open the door. A gust of icy wind barreled inside, momentarily flickering the flames of the fire before them. There, illuminated weakly by the flickering light, stood a figure sodden and shivering. Help! The voice cracked, barely audible above the storm. It was a woman, her hair clinging to her face, clothes soaked and bedraggled. Get inside. Jack stepped forward, pulling her through the threshold. As he closed the door, the storm's fury was briefly halted, replaced by a silence that felt heavy with unease. Are you all right? Sarah asked, concern etched on her face. She stepped closer, taking in the stranger's pale skin and wide, frightened eyes. I was driving, the woman stammered, trembling violently as she collapsed into a chair by the fire. The storm came out of nowhere. My car slid off the road. Jack rushed to grab a blanket, wrapping it around the newcomer's shoulders, and Sarah felt a pang of empathy. There was something familiar about the woman, a reflection of the hidden fears Sarah carried with her, fears of being alone and vulnerable. What is your name? Jack asked gently, his demeanor shifting as he engaged with the stranger. Zoe, she whispered, grateful yet shaken, her eyes darting between Jack and Sarah. I thought I'd never make it. It was like the storm was swallowing everything. You're safe now, Sarah offered, her voice softening. We'll figure it out. Just breathe. A moment of silence enveloped the room, broken only by the crackling of the fire. Sarah felt a strange flicker of solidarity. Zoe's arrival shifted everything, embedding new layers of complexity into the already tangled web of their lives. Just then, prompted by the silence, Jack turned to Sarah. We should share what we know. The legacy, the past. If we're going to move forward, we all need to be in this together. Sarah's stomach nodded. Could they really trust this stranger? But time was short. The storm outside still raged, and with it came uncertainty. I can help, Zoe interjected, her voice steadier now. I might know things that could be relevant to all this whatever is happening between you two. Things. Jack echoed, his brow furrowed. Zoe nodded slowly. My family, it might connect to yours. Sarah's heart raced again, flipping upside down. Was it possible? Could they be staring at answers hiding in the most unlikely place? As she glanced between Jack and Zoe, she suddenly felt the weight of shared secrets growing heavier. The storm outside continued to surge, but it was the storm within that terrified her. Who are you really, Zoe? Sarah challenged, her trust hanging by a thread. A solemn tension draped itself over the three of them, thick and palpable. What lay ahead? What truths would be unearthed? And how would their lives intertwine? With unresolved questions swirling in the air, Sarah felt the clock ticking, each moment driving them closer to revelation. And outside, the storm howled louder, as if ushering in changes none of them could foresee. Zoe looked up at Sarah, her eyes wide and shimmering with fear. I know it seems crazy, but it's true, she said, her voice quaking. My family has ties to yours, Jack. My father, he was involved with yours in ways you can't imagine. Jack's face paled. What do you mean? What kind of ties? Zoe swallowed hard, gripping the blanket tightly around her shoulders. They were business partners. But it was more than that. There were hidden deals, secrets buried under layers of deceit. The fire crackled, casting trembling shadows around the dim room. Sarah could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. Why should we believe you? This could all be a coincidence, she said defensively, wishing to protect the fragile peace they had created. Because I've spent my whole life searching for the truth, Zoe replied, her voice rising with urgency. My mother left me a note just before she passed away. It hinted at a scandal that could tear families apart. And what has this got to do with us? Jack stepped closer, the tension in his shoulders shifting from protective to inquisitive. It's got everything to do with you. My family name, it's not just about business. It connects to your history, regret, betrayal. It's all tangled up. She paused, her breath hitching. There's something dark lurking in the past, and I can help you uncover it. I'll help you both understand. The wind outside howled as if in response, rattling the inn's windows. Sarah felt an insidious chill that had nothing to do with the weather. And why would you want to help us? Because Zoe's voice softened. I don't have anyone else. I'm tired of running from ghosts. I need closure. We all do. Jack stood silently, his eyes narrowing in contemplation. What is it you want from us, then? A chance to understand. To reveal the truth your family buried. But we have to do it together. Sarah exchanged a glance with Jack, the silent communication passing seamlessly between them. Their shared history felt fragile, like spun glass, almost poised to shatter with new revelations. What if we find something we don't want to know? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper, heart racing at the possibilities. Then we deal with it. But we can't move forward without facing whatever lies beneath the surface, Zoe replied, a spark of determination igniting in her tone. Jack crossed his arms, visibly weighing the unfamiliar bond forming in the midst of the storm. And what if your connection to our families complicates everything even more? Maybe it's time for complications. I'm ready to confront my past. To confront yours too. As silence filled the room, the three of them remained locked in their thoughts, uncertainty thrumming in the air. Was it bravery or foolishness that had brought them together on this stormy night? Zoe's gaze shifted to the window, where the snow was tumbling down in waves, a fierce contrast to the heat of their brewing storm of emotions. We'll need to stick together, against whatever comes next. Let us start with what you know, Jack said finally, his tone commanding but laced with a hint of aggression. Tell us everything. As Zoe began to speak, weaving tales of betrayals and hidden identities, the forest outside seemed to close in around the inn. The storm remained relentless, mirroring the turbulence inside as each revelation landed with the force of an avalanche. But just as they began to unravel the threads that tied their stories together, a new sound intruded, a faint, scratching noise at the door, almost lost amidst the roar of the storm. What was that? Sarah asked, her heart pounding, suddenly aware that they weren't alone. Before anyone could respond, the door started to creak open. Zoe's heart raced as the door slowly creaked open. The gusts of wind howled violently, slamming the door against the wall and revealing a figure dimly lit by the flickering firelight. Sarah gasped, stepping back as the cold air rushed into the warm room, filling it with an eerie tension. The silhouette was barely recognizable through the swirling snowflakes clouding the view. But as the figure stepped inside, snow cascading off their shoulders, it became clear. It was an older man with a weathered face, his silver hair wild and unkempt, eyes sharp and filled with an urgency that set alarm bells ringing in Zoe's mind. "Who are you?" Jack asked, taking a cautious step forward, blocking Sarah protectively. "I'm sorry to intrude," the man stammered, brushing the snow from his coat. "I was caught in the storm and saw your light. Thought I'd find some shelter, perhaps a phone to call for help." "Liar," Zoe interrupted, her instincts flaring. "You were looking for something else, weren't you?" The man's eyes narrowed. "I'm not here for trouble. Just help. My name's Henry. I know about your families, about the past." A stone dropped in the pit of Zoe's stomach. "How do you know us?" His gaze flickered to Jack, then to the window, as if troubled by some memory he couldn't contain. "I've seen the effects of what happened years ago. The fallout. I know secrets that could change everything for both of you and her." Sarah glanced at Jack, confusion mingling with fear. "Is he telling the truth?" "I don't know," Jack replied, voice low. "But if he knows something." Henry moved closer, his voice urgent. "I shouldn't have come here, but the storm is only a distraction from what's really out there. If you want to uncover your family's past, you'll need to hear what I have to say." "Why should we trust you?" Sarah challenged, her resolve mixing with disbelief. "Because," Henry said, his voice trembling, "I'm the only connection you have left. Your families knew each other long before business ties, and it's that very bond that destroyed them." Zoe felt her pulse quicken. "What do you mean destroyed? What happened?" "Betrayal. It runs deep, and it doesn't tee in with your parents. It's still alive, haunting you all." Jack took a step forward, eyebrows knitting together. "What do you know? We can't piece this together if you keep holding back. Tell us. What happened?" Henry met Jack's fiery gaze, the air thick with tension. "There's an artifact. It belonged to both your families, a means to control a fortune. It was buried, hidden for years. The truth of what lies within is the key to understanding your past." The room fell silent as his words hung heavy in the air, each one wrapped around them like chains. Jack and Sarah exchanged glances, the urgency mounting. "What does it matter?" Zoe whispered, feeling both hope and dread erupt within her. "If you don't face this now, the storm won't be the only thing to swallow you whole," Henry warned. There was a storm in his eyes too, an echo of the past he could no longer escape. As the wind howled outside, drowning the stillness with its relentless fury, Zoe's stomach churned. She couldn't help but feel they were standing on the edge of an abyss where fragile human connections could shatter at any moment. "Then let us find it," Jack declared, his voice steady, breaking through the tension. "Let us uncover the truth." But before Henry could respond, a deafening crack of thunder struck, interrupting the moment. The lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness before the flames sprang back to life in the fireplace. "Hold on," Henry whispered, eyes darting to the window. "We may not be alone after all." Suddenly, there was a sound outside. A low growl echoed in the wind, a promise of impending danger lurking just beyond the threshold. What had they opened with their words? What shadows were stirring in the storm? A thick silence enveloped the room, a palpable tension that felt almost suffocating. Zoe, Jack, and Sarah exchanged anxious glances, each seemingly ill at ease. Yet the urgency in Henry's words lingered, anchoring them in a moment that felt both fragile and intense. Henry edged toward the window, peering out into the swirling white. "I've seen what's lurking out there. It's more than just the storm." "What do you mean?" Jack's voice was edged with impatience, a thin line of fear threading through. Henry turned back, his expression grave. "Not all storms are natural. Some are born from intentions steeped in malice." Before Zoe could react, there was another growl, deeper this time. It resonated through the wood of the cabin, sending shivers down her spine. Jack instinctively moved closer to Sarah, his stance protective. "We should lock the door and wait this out," he suggested, the firmness of his voice betraying his own uncertainty. But Henry shook his head. "It's not safe anymore. If they find us here, who?" Sarah interrupted, her voice trembling. "They," Henry began, gesturing to the door, "aren't just wild animals. They're hunting for something, and they won't stop until they get it." The lights flickered again as the wind howled. In the dim light, Zoe could see Henry's eyes darting around the room, filled with a manic kind of fear she had never seen in anyone before. "What do we do?" Zoe asked, panic rising in her chest. "We search for the artifact," Henry said, resolute. "Tonight. We have to." Jack grimaced. "In the storm? It's dangerous out there." "Believe me," Henry said, his voice steady now, not knowing is far worse than whatever is out there. A sudden flash lit up the room. For a moment, the shadows seemed to dance against the walls, and Zoe could feel the weight of the storm pressing down. The warmth from the fire felt like a fragile barrier against the chaos outside. But what if they're already inside? Sarah's voice quivered, barely above a whisper. Henry's expression hardened. "Then we face them together. But first, we have to find the hidden place. It may offer us safety or, at the very least, answers." An anxious energy coursed through Zoe, heart pounding like a drum against the chaos outside. It was unfamiliar, this sense of purpose and dread intertwined. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. "I'll go with you, but we need to stick together." "Agreed," Jack said, determination settling into his tone. "We can't let fear control us." Henry nodded, clearly surprised by their resolve. "Then let us move quickly." As they gathered supplies, flashlights, some rope, a first aid kit, a sense of urgency surged in the air. The wind rattled against the walls as if urging them to hurry. "Just remember," Henry said as they formed a line at the door. "Whatever comes, face it head on. Trust each other." With a collective inhale, they opened the door, the cold air rushing in, swirling snow enveloping them like a thick cloud. For a brief second, they could barely see their feet, but there was no turning back now. As they stepped into the white abyss, a new growl sounded from the shadows, sending chills down Zoe's spine. They were not just searching for the artifact. They were stepping into a trap, one that promised to reveal far more than they had bargained for. As they pressed forward, the wind howled a warning. With every crunch of snow beneath their feet, Zoe felt a deep, unsettling truth rise within her. Something wicked was waiting. Would they uncover the truth about their families, or would they become another victim of the storm? And with that thought, they plunged deeper into the unknown, unaware of the eyes watching from the darkness, waiting for the moment to strike. The blizzard roared around them, a chaotic symphony of howling winds and swirling snow. Zoe squinted into the white void, gripping the flashlight tightly in her gloved hand. The beam barely penetrated the storm, making the world feel even more foreboding. "Stick close," Henry shouted over the wind, his voice edged with urgency. The group shuffled together, shoulder to shoulder, pushing through the snow that clung to their boots like an unwelcome acquaintance. Despite the biting cold, Zoe felt a warmth spread in her chest. They were together. They would face whatever awaited them, side by side. Just ahead, Jack stumbled, his foot catching on a hidden root. He fell silently into the snow, a gasp escaping his lips as he struggled to right himself. "I'm good," he called out after a moment, but the strain in his voice was unmistakable. "Let us keep moving," Sarah encouraged, glancing back nervously as though the shadows would swallow them whole. They pressed on, minds racing with questions and fears that intertwined like the branches of skeletal trees around them. What were they really searching for? How had they gotten pulled into this eerie night? "I think it's this way," Henry declared, shifting to the left. His instincts had been trustworthy so far, but the weight of uncertainty crept back like snow upon their shoulders. Suddenly, a rustling sound echoed from the tree-line. Zoe froze, heart hammering in her chest. She could feel the shift in the air, thick with something more sinister than just a storm. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Yeah," Jack's eyes darted, scanning the darkness. "We should move." As they hurried forward, a distant figure flickered at the edge of the woods. Zoe squinted, trying to battle the shadowy silhouette. It was a creature, tall and lean, standing eerily still. "What is that?" she breathed, almost afraid to speak. Henry raised his flashlight in its direction, the beam illuminating patches of fur glistening like frost. "We need to go now?" Panic surged through his voice, driving them to take off. They ran, pushing through the biting cold and swirling snow, each footfall fueled by fear. With every stride, the creature melded into the shadows. Was it hunting them? A primal instinct was at play, and the primal urge to survive pushed them onward through the white abyss. Behind them, the growl echoed again, a low, rumbling sound that vibrated through the very ground they stood upon. Faster, Sarah squeaked, looking over her shoulder. But something caught Zoe's eye. Amidst the storm, a glimmer shimmered beneath a heap of white snow. A treasure? No, it had to be the artifact Henry mentioned. Wait, Zoe yelled, forcing them to stop. I saw something. What? Jack protested, breath heavy with desperation. I don't know, but it's important. It could be the answer, she replied, her own conviction surprising her even as the growl resonated again, now closer. Zoe, we can't just, but Henry cut him off. We have to at least check it out. Making their way to where she had spotted the glimmer, tension hung in the air like the frigid temperature. Reaching down, Zoe brushed aside the snow, revealing an ornate stone surrounded by what looked like remnants of old vines. This is it, she gasped, exhilaration and dread mingling within her. But no sooner had they uncovered it than darkness rushed forward, the creature that haunted the periphery now fully revealed, taking a menacing step toward them. Fear clawed at them, a scream caught in Zoe's throat. What had they awakened? The growl escalated, and Henry swore under his breath. Get ready. In the chaos of the storm and the looming terror, a reality twisted before them, revealing secrets that skated the boundaries of their imagination. Identity, family, fate. Together, Jack urged, gripping Zoe's arm. And as the creature lunged forward, they braced themselves against a tide of shadows, unaware that their uncovering of the artifact would lead to a revelation far beyond their comprehension. The creature sprang with unexpected speed, a blur of fur and teeth against the white wasteland. Zoe barely had time to react. Her heart raced, pounding like a drum signaling the end of an era. Jack's grip tightened on her arm. A mix of panic and determination etched across his face. Run, Henry shouted, and that single word unleashed a wild, frantic energy in them all. They dashed back into the storm, snow swirling around them like a tornado. Zoe could hardly think. Her breaths came in sharp, quick gasps. She glanced back just once. The creature was massive, its eyes glowing like hot coals in the blizzard. It was relentless, driven by instincts beyond her comprehension. Stick together, Henry called, trying to steer them. We need to find shelter. The urgency in his voice made Zoe push harder, muscles burning with the effort to escape. They stumbled through the snow, the darkness wrapping around them like a heavy blanket. Sarah spotted a cluster of trees up ahead and pointed, hope flickering in her eyes. There, we can hide there. They dashed toward the trees, the branches twisting overhead, creating a makeshift barrier from the storm. As they dove into the shelter, Zoe glanced back, half expecting to see the creature following them. But the howls of the wind swallowed the sounds of pursuit, leaving an unnerving silence in its wake. Hurry, Zoe panted, pulling her friends deeper into the thicket. They huddled against the trunk of a thick tree, catching their breath, hearts racing. What is that thing? Jack whispered, voice shaking. I don't know, but we need to keep quiet, Henry urged. It might lose interest if we're still. The group fell silent, listening, every crack of a branch or rustle of snow sending shivers of dread down their spines. The wind howled around them, the sound both comforting and cruel. Time stretched into eternity as they waited, breaths creating little puffs of warmth. Then, a sound broke through a low growl, not far from where they hid. Zoe's heart sank. It was close. Her mind whirled in fear. What if it found them? The artifact, she murmured, panic clawing at her chest. What did we awaken? What if it's connected to that creature? Jack's eyes widened, and he shifted closer to Zoe. Do you think it might have meant something? Perhaps it was protecting something, or we disturbed its home. Sarah interjected, fear twisting her features. We should have left it alone. Henry shook his head. There's no use wondering now. If we get out of this, we need to figure out a way to contain whatever force we unleashed. Just then, the growling became closer, along with a series of heavy steps in the snow. It was almost upon them. The world felt like it had shrunk to just a point, a terrible, gripping moment of suspense. Listen, Zoe whispered. It sounds like it's sniffing us out. Henry nodded, tense. Stay still. We can't give it a reason to come closer. A shadow flickered at the edge of the trees, and for an agonizing moment, Zoe caught a glimpse of the creature. Its ears perked, its muscles coiled like a spring ready to launch. Suddenly, a beam of light sliced through the darkness. A flashlight? Someone was out there. But it couldn't be help. Zoe shouted, desperation spilling from her lungs. We need help. The light shifted, and then a silhouette emerged through the storm, a figure cloaked in warmth and safety. An avalanche of hope surged through her. Zoe, the figure called out, voice deep and confident. I'm coming. As the shadow approached, the creature froze, turning its gaze from the frightened group to the new arrival. Stay behind me. The figure shouted, positioning itself in front of them. The atmosphere shifted, an unseen tension mixed with the storm's fury. Who was this person? What did they want? As the creature paused, unsure, Zoe could feel the weight of secrets in the air. Would this stranger save them or lead them deeper into this mystery? Something was happening. A moment of revelation was just at the cusp. What will happen when they confront the beast? Zoe wondered, aching with anticipation. Would they unveil more than just the threat lurking in the storm? The figure stepped forward, exuding an authority that cut through the chaos like a beacon. As the light illuminated his face, shock rippled through Zoe and her companions. It was Michael, Sarah's estranged father, the man who had disappeared years ago, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and broken trust. Dad, Sarah's voice trembled, a mix of disbelief and bitterness flashing in her eyes. What are you doing here? I came looking for you, Sarah. I never stopped caring, Michael replied, his gaze flickering between Zoe and Jack. The warmth radiating from him was in stark contrast to the chill that seized her heart. The creature hesitated, sensing the shift in the air. Michael stood firm, legs apart, the flashlight steady in his grip, and the very essence of his presence shifted focus. Stay behind me, he commanded, redirecting his attention to the beast. For the first time, Zoe could see the steel in his resolve, a man fueled not by uncertainty, but by fierce determination. Michael, please, we can talk later. We need to get out of here. Jack's voice surged with urgency as he clutched Zoe's arm, silently pleading with Michael to reconsider. But Michael shook his head, eyes glimmering with a strange mix of defiance and sorrow. No more running. This creature is tied to our past, our families. It's time to confront what was hidden, what has been haunting you. A low growl emanated from the shadows. It lunged forward, muscles rippling under its thick fur. Michael lifted the flashlight, aiming it directly at the creature, a firm threat pooling in his stance. Back off. Zoe held on to Jack, the weight of her choices resting heavy on her heart. Would this confrontation reveal answers or lead them further into the unknown? The growl resonated deep within, an echo of the buried past they all shared. Why does it matter to you? She found herself yelling, brimming with emotion. Why did you come back now? Michael's gaze softened. Because I failed you, Sarah. And all this time, I've known there was more to our family legacy, more than I was willing to admit. I was hoping to keep you safe. But now it's time to join forces. To unveil truths we've turned away from. The creature lunged again, snapping its jaws mere feet from Michael. But he stood his ground, rallying the faint whispers of courage within the group. Zoe, Jack, grab the artifact. It's not just a key to our past. It's the defense we need against whatever this creature represents. In that instant, realization struck Zoe like lightning. Here was the answer, a chance not just to confront the beast, but to reclaim the legacy linked to their families. Together now, she shouted, let us use what we've uncovered. As Henry moved with swift determination toward the artifact, digging it out of the snow that twinkled under the flashlight's glow, Sarah clenched her fists, heart racing. Could it really be the shield they needed against the creature hunting them? Or was it merely an illusion? Don't be afraid. Michael's voice broke through the tension, steady and reassuring. Remember, light always chases the darkness away. As Henry leaped back toward the group, they all fell into formation, each of them a flicker of hope against palpable fear. With the artifact now illuminated in his hands, a warm energy seemed to pulse from it, tethering their hearts together. On three, Jack urged, trying to focus, fear still palpable between them. 1, 2, 3. With voices unified, they held the artifact high, feeling its warmth spread through them. A shimmering light erupted, dancing in the air like fireflies, branching out toward the beast now inching closer. The creature faltered, clearly caught off guard. As the light expanded, enveloping their surroundings, it revealed what had long been hidden: the truth of their families. The history of betrayal disintegrated beneath the glow, replaced by a sense of belonging and shared purpose that tightened their bond. "Keep pushing," Zoe shouted, hope surging again. The light intensified, and the creature recoiled, howling in fear. "This is our past. You have no power over us anymore." Michael took a step forward, still rooted in determination. "We're not just the sum of our past mistakes. We have the power to build something better together." As the creature shrieked one last time, vanishing into the storm like a dream fading at dawn, relief washed over the group. They stood united, breaths mingling in warm clouds, a family reborn in the light of their collective history. Outside, the storm began to fade, the winds calming as snow settled lightly over the ground. "Is it over?" Sarah murmured, still clutching the artifact. For the first time since they'd arrived in this storm, Zoe felt a sense of peace. "I think so. We faced what haunted us together." Michael turned to them, his expression softening. "I promise this won't be the end. Let us forge a new path and rebuild the connections we thought were lost." In that moment, they understood their journey was just beginning, the bonds strengthened by trials faced rather than fractured by fear. Together, they were more than conquerors. They were a family ready to embrace healing and new beginnings. As they stepped back into the shelter of the inn, the storm behind them fading into distant echoes, hope glimmered in their hearts. This was a homecoming not just to each other, but to the legacy forged in unity. And as they gathered inside, laughter mingled with joy, the warmth of family encasing them like a blanket of love. This is how they rebuilt, how they thrived. Now you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters more than you know. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let us hear your voice. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It's the moment to spread hope together. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support.